All right, heading into week 3 of the fantasy football season, I'm going to give you 10 waiver wires that I'm looking to pick up. I'm going to rank them in order of priority. I'm going to tell you how, like the percentage that they're rostered in sleeper leagues. Now, to be clear, I'm recording this video before Monday Night Football, okay? So if any injuries happen in Monday Night Football or any good waivers, sort of turn up, I'm going to put a pinned comment if anything changes as far as like the priority goes. But I'm going to give you an honorable mention first. The reason I say this is an honorable mention to start is because I fully believe that all of these players in a standard 12-man league should already be rostered. If they are not, put these guys at the very top of your priority, okay? If they are, then I'm going to give you even deeper ones. Okay, so Garrett Wilson, rostered in 62% of the leagues. Went off this week. He should be rostered in every single league. He should have been drafted. Jahan Dotson scored another touchdown this week. He should already be on leagues, or on rosters, Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee. These are all guys that should already be rostered. Okay, but if they aren't, again, add them to the top of your priority list. Now, a couple other guys who didn't quite make my top 10 this week, but I think, they would be in like the, 10 to 15 range. Nelson Aguilar, 3% rostered. Tyler Conklin, if you're looking for a deep tight end option. Jake Ferguson from Dallas, the tight end from Dallas, because we don't know what Dalton Schultz's current injury status is. And if Dalton is out, Jake Ferguson, the rookie, should be in line for some work. And then Noah Brown, the wide receiver from Dallas, is currently rostered in 10% of leagues. He had a pretty good game this week. And if Michael Gallup misses more time, then he could be a decent desperation flex. All right. Here we go. The top 10, I'm going to go from 10 to 1 for me right now. At number 10, KJ Hamler, currently rostered in 13% of sleeper leagues. You're not going to hear a lot about this guy, I don't think, in many other waiver formats or videos. I could be wrong. Maybe you were. KJ was inactive this week due to an injury himself, but it was reported that it was maintenance precaution, so he could potentially be a go this week. And the reason KJ's even on this list is because of Jerry Jeudy's status. He went down with a rib injury this week and he did not return. So we don't know exactly what the reports are just yet. Apparently it's come back negative, which is good, but we don't know if Jeudy will be playing. And if he doesn't, KJ, if he's active, becomes a really interesting flex option. So if Jerry's active, you drop him straight away. KJ is my number 10. On to number 9, Greg Dortch, or as we've heard around the community, the Human DORTCH. Probably doesn't deserve that name, but currently rostered in 14% of sleeper leagues. Last week, in week 1, 7 receptions for 9 targets for 63 yards. And then here in week 2, 4 receptions on 4 targets for 55 yards and a TUD. So that's 15.5 fantasy points. Look, no DeAndre Hopkins, no Rondale Moore. I think he's going to be out even longer than people anticipate. Dortch is carving up a pretty decent role for himself, and he's become quite necessary to this offense, that third option in an Arizona offense connected to Kyler Murray. It is temporary value because D-Hop will be back, Rondale Moore will be back, but in deep leagues, Dortch is worth an add. There was pretty good reports from him out of camp, so keep him on your radar. At number 8, Nico Collins. Currently rostered in 22% of sleeper leagues. This week, he had 4 receptions, 9 targets for 58 yards. Only 1 fewer targets than Brandon Cooks this week in a competitive game. It looks like the Texans are going to be one of those grinded out, close type games or teams this year, And Nico Collins, he's in an offense that doesn't have a solidified depth chart. So if he can continue to give some sort of production, maybe Davis Mills continues to look his way. So right now, he's my number 8. At number 7, Mark Ingram, currently rostered in 50% of leagues. Alvin Kamara still dealing with a rib cartilage fracture. I mean, that could be a while. Maybe he plays this week, maybe he doesn't. But I'm pretty sure that that's one of those ones that you're going to have to let rest. Look, if Alvin plays this week, you drop Mark. You don't think about it. But if Alvin doesn't play, he could be sidelined a little bit longer. Mark is clearly the step-in lead running back. He had 12 touches in week 2. He had 6 yards per carry. Absolutely worth an add. This Saints offense will not be this bad moving forward. And Mark, he looked pretty decent with his touches outside of that 1 fumble. So they believe in Mark. They have that that trust with him over the years. Mark Ingram is a pretty decent, like, let's say your RB2 went down or you have injuries at that position. He's a pretty good fill-in for now. At number 6, the tight end position is truly one of the most difficult positions to figure out on a weekly basis. It is really like throwing darts in the dark. I don't know why you would do that, but that's exactly what it's like. Currently, Logan Thomas rostered in 21% of leagues. Logan Thomas is going to be available in almost all of the leagues to you guys that I'm talking to right now, okay? Low Gang is back this week, week 2, 3 receptions on 5 targets, 37 yards, and a tud. Now, you might say, well, that's only 3 catches. Guys, for the tight end position, 5 targets, one of those being a red zone target, ended up being a touchdown. That could turn into a lot of value. He was actually tight end 7 here in week 2. And back in week 1, his first game recovering from the ACL, he was still given a red zone target. So I think you think about the history of Carson Wentz with his tight ends, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz. There's a long history of him relying on his tight ends. And Logan Thomas recovering from this ACL, you could see a role continually expand. So Logan Thomas really intrigues me. And we're going back-to-back Commanders here. Number 5, Carson Wentz. Look, maybe you're like me, you had a lot of Trey Lance, and now you need to figure out how exactly to replace Trey Lance. Well, Carson Wentz currently rostered in 54% of sleeper leagues. Could be a lot less in other formats as well. He's on fire in these first 2 weeks. In week 1, quarterback 3. In week 2, as of right now, quarterback 3. And honestly, if you think about it, this is a really good situation for Carson Wentz from a fantasy perspective, right? Your defense cannot stop a soul. Everyone is scoring on the Washington defense. And until Cam Curl and Chase Young are back, this could be the case for a while. And you're going to have to throw the ball a bunch of times because your defense isn't doing anything. You have a great set of weapons in Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, Gibson, McKissick. This could be a recipe for fantasy success here for Carson Wentz. And as a Commanders fan, it is up and down watching these games, but it feels so exciting just to know that on any play, we could see a long bomb touchdown to one of these weapons. So Carson Wentz is my ideal pickup if I lost Trey Lance this week. Also, Tua Tagovailoa. I was going to mention him in the honorable mentions, but he's rostered in a much higher percentage, 64% of leagues. So one of these guys, Tua or Carson, would be the ones that I'm looking to replace Trey Lance with. And if you're looking at fab, I mean, you need a reliable starter. So I'm looking at 30% of my fab here for one of these guys just to get a starter on the roster. At number 4, I have Josh Palmer, currently rostered in 42% of sleeper leagues. That surprised me. That number really surprised me. I thought with Keenan Allen being out last week, we would have seen a much higher number than 42%. And that's going to be different across your different leagues. But Josh Palmer on Thursday Night Football versus the Chiefs, 4 receptions on 8 targets for 30 yards and a touchdown. Justin Herbert and Palmer were definitely not on the same page to start the game, but you could see he was very necessary to the game plan and eventually got into the end zone. So how long will Keenan Allen be out with that hamstring? We don't fully know the answer, but if Keenan Allen is out again this week, then Palmer's going to be a great flex option versus Jacksonville here in week 3. So Josh Palmer, another guy I'm willing to spend about 35% of my fab on, because if any one of those guys go down, Everett, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, then Palmer becomes an important part to that offense. All right, at number 3, I have RAHEEM the Dream Mostert, currently rostered in 39% of sleeper leagues. What the hell is happening in Miami? Specifically their backfield. I mean, their offense, wow. Look at Tyreek, look at Tua. But what is going on with these running backs? In week 1, Edmonds out-touched Mostert 16-6. But here in week 2, in a competitive game, this is what's so confusing. Edmonds is such a great pass catcher. In a competitive game, we saw RAHEEM Mostert get most of the work. He had 14 touches for 79 yards compared to Edmonds' 8 touches. It's confusing. No doubt it's confusing. But I think you want a part of this offense. And if one of these guys goes down or if one of these guys gets injured, then you could see the other having a huge role. So Mostert already carving out a role for him with a healthy Chase Edmonds. And McDaniels him being one of his favorite players might get some treatment, some work here. So RAHEEM looks pretty decent with the touches that he got. He's my number 3 waiver wire priority this week. I'm willing to spend, again, around that 30% of my fab mark to get RAHEEM Mostert. Let's say you have a $100 fab. Let me throw out 35 bucks. Let me try and just get Mostert and see what can happen. We know how explosive a player like this can be and what is looking like a very good offense. All right, number 2, Eno Benjamin. And really, number 2 and number 1 are from the same team. So stay with me here for a second. Number 2, Eno Benjamin, currently rostered in 17% of sleeper leagues. James Conner left the game last week with an ankle injury. We don't know the severity of it just yet, but there's a long history of James Conner missing multiple games due to injuries, just like the one that he just sustained here in week 2. So Eno, in my opinion, is going to be that third down running back. And in Arizona's offense, that could be very valuable. Again, think about it. Just like I said with the Commanders, another defense here in Arizona that cannot stop people. And they're going to keep allowing teams to put up points, which is going to put Kyler in a position where he needs to score. And the pass catching running back here on this offense in Arizona could be worth a lot. But my number 1 waiver wire pickup as of right now when I'm recording this is Darrell Williams, running back for the Arizona Cardinals, currently rostered in 10% of the leagues. I can't tell you who the guy's going to be while James Conner is out, but I have a strong conviction, I have a strong belief that it will be Darrell Williams. He historically has been a very good fill-in running back when the starting guy goes down. Think about it, what he did in Kansas City last year when Clyde Edwards-Helaire wasn't there. He was the perfect fill-in. Pretty good on the ground, pretty competent pass catcher as well. I imagine that Darrell Williams will be the first and second down running back filling that James Conner role compared, if you compare these two guys on paper. In week 2, he had 8 carries for 59 yards, very efficient with his touches, 7.3 yards per carry versus a pretty decent Las Vegas defense, as well as 2 receptions on 3 targets in the air. So yes, this team in Arizona is probably going to struggle on a weekly basis, but they're going to keep needing to score points. And as long as James Conner is out, I believe that Darrell Williams serves as a great flex or RB2 option if you have injuries on your team. So Darrell Williams, again, if I got $100 fab, let me drop $35 to $40 of that fab because I need to win weeks right now, specifically if I have injuries. If I don't have injuries, let me drop 25% of my fab. Let me see if I get Darrell, because I don't think maybe this is a name that a lot of people are going to highlight, but I'm not so certain. Like, we'll have to find out what the community says. So those are my top 10. Again, Monday Night Football is happening tonight, so if anything happens, I will obviously update my list. Names that instantly come to mind: Treylon Burks, Kyle Phillips should all be rostered in every single format. Isaiah McKenzie should be rostered. Jamison Crowder should be rostered because of Gabe Davis's injury that we see. Zach Moss should be rostered. He seems to have a role. So again, if anything happens here tonight, I will update that and I will pin it in the comments. But again, Garrett Wilson, Jahan Dotson, Gerald Everett, Tua Tagovailoa, Tyler Higbee, they should all already be rostered. If they are not, I'm prioritizing them over that list that I just gave you. And if the people that I just gave you are not available in your league, you're in a very, very deep league, look for Nelson Aguilar, Tyler Conklin, Jake Ferguson, Noah Brown, all available in over 90% of sleeper leagues right now. So good luck. Hey, if you're 0-2, do not give up just yet. It is way too early to give up, okay? I won my home fantasy league last year. I was 1-7. 1-7. I ran the table, finished as a fantasy champ. Don't give up, all right? Let's make some important waiver wire pickups here. Good luck this week. Huge love. Comment down below who your favorite pickup is.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos.
Watch it.
You can also subscribe.
Right now.
If you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/fantasylandfam.